Good morning, fellow veterans, honored guests, our public safety personnel, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Colin Bode. I'm a United States Army Iraq War veteran, and I'm honored to be the MC for today's celebration of Veterans Day.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Veterans, students, teachers, family, and friends. It's an honor to stand before you on this Veterans Day. Veterans Day began more than a century ago, November 11th, 1918, the day the guns fell silent on the Western Front. It was called Armistice Day, marking the end of what they hoped would be the war to end all wars. But as history has shown, war does not end so easily. The world has asked much of our men and women in uniform since then. The Second World War, Korea, Vietnam, Panama, Grenada, Afghanistan, and Iraq. There's a quote I've always carried with me from the First World War. The war to end all wars, they call it, but war, it seems, never ends. What must end instead is our forgetting. Those words remind me of why we gather here today, not to glorify war, but to remember those who served, those who came home, and those who carry the weight of service with them today. This year also marks the anniversary of the evacuation of Saigon, the end of the Vietnam War. For many veterans, that was not just a chapter in the history books, but a memory which shaped their lives. Vietnam veterans returned to a country divided and uncertain, but over time, they helped teach America how to welcome home those who served with respect, with gratitude, and with open arms. Their legacy lives on in every new generation of veterans, including mine. I served as an artilleryman in Baghdad during Operation Inherent Resolve. My experience was entirely different from those who fought in Vietnam or for those who stormed the beaches in Normandy. But the bond that connects us is the same: duty, sacrifice, and service. What I remember most from my time overseas isn't the danger or the hardship, it's the people. The camaraderie, the sense of purpose, the feeling that no matter what came our way, we faced it together. You learn that real strength isn't found in the weapons you carry or the rank on your chest. It's found in the soldiers standing beside you and in the shared belief that what we're doing matters. It means something. That spirit in itself is what we honor today. To the veterans here, from World War II to Vietnam, from the Gulf War to Iraq and Afghanistan, thank you. Your service reminds us that freedom is never free and that every generation must protect it anew. To the students here, you are the next generation of Americans who will carry the torch forward. You may serve in different ways, as teachers, nurses, engineers, or maybe even in uniform. However you serve, remember this: service to others is what keeps our nation strong. So as we stand here today, let's remember all who served with gratitude. Let's honor the past by building a future worthy of their sacrifice. Because the real promise of Veterans Day isn't just to remember our conflicts or wars, it's to remember the people and to never forget what they stood for then and what they stand for now. Thank you. God bless our veterans, and God bless the United States of America. I'd like to invite now our first guest speaker, Mr. Tom Clay, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, thank you so much. First, thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to everyone who's served to have this amazing audience here have this packed room. So special thanks to the Scouts and the parents of the Scouts, Westford Girls for a Better Tomorrow, and I think the entire 8th grade class from Blanchard. So welcome and thank you. So I'm Tom Clay. I'm currently chair of the Select Board. I'm also here with my colleague, John Cunningham. Both of us are also veterans, so 2 reasons to be pleased to be here today. It's a great honor and one of the great joys of being in service to you to be able to recognize the veterans and be here with you today. Something that was already said is every Veterans Day I remember when I was a second lieutenant, I served in Korea. It was my first assignment, and I was standing up at Warrior Base, which was up on the DMZ, and the general stood up, and the first thing he said was, "Freedom isn't free. The reason that you're out here and sleeping on the hard ground and being in the cold is so that we can keep America free, keep our friends free, and keep everybody safe." So first thing I think of when I wake up on Veterans Day is that freedom isn't free, and real gratitude to all the people that are out there right now protecting us. Thank you for gathering here today to celebrate everyone who's worn the uniform. Today across our country, communities like ours pause to remember what service and sacrifice truly mean. Every veteran story is unique. Some served in combat, others in support. Some deployed far from home, while others kept their forces here in the States. But every one of them made the same promise to serve their country, to protect our freedoms, and to look out for the person standing beside them. Service in uniform changes you. It teaches humility, teamwork, and commitment. You learn that the mission comes first, and that what truly matters is not medals or recognition, but the bond between those who serve and the values that we defend together. But today we also recognize that service is a family commitment. Behind every veteran stands someone who kept life moving forward at home, a spouse, parent, child, and a friend. They endured the separations, carried the worries, and helped our veterans find their footing when they came home. To all those families, we thank you. Your strength, patience, and love make service possible. So thank you to all the military families that are out there today. Here in Westford, the same spirit of service lives on. You can see it in our veterans organizations and neighbors who check in on one another, and on the young people learning what it means to serve something greater than themselves. So we honor our veterans today, but let's also renew our own commitment to serve our community, to care for our veterans and their families, and to live every day in a way that honors the freedoms they protect. To all those who've served, to all those who support those who serve, thank you for your courage, your sacrifice, and your example. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to present our second guest speaker, Mr. Terry Stader.
I hope I don't repeat a lot of what's already been said, but good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us here in Westford for our Veterans Day celebration. It's a privilege to stand here among the friends, neighbors, and fellow veterans as we pause to remember all those who wore the uniform for the United States Armed Forces. Today is about reflection, gratitude, honor to every man, woman who has answered our nation's call. They came from towns just like Westford, from every corner of America, united by duty, service, and love of country. When I think about Veterans Day, my mind goes back to this time that shaped me, the spring of 1975, 50 years ago this year. I was serving aboard the USS Gridley, a guided missile frigate, off the coast of Vietnam as the long and difficult war was coming to an end. It was in its final days. In April of that year, we took part in Operation Frequent Wind, the evacuation of Saigon. It was one of the largest humanitarian missions ever in naval history. As the city fell, the thousands of Americans and South Vietnamese civilians desperately tried to escape. From the decks of our ships, we watched helicopters streaming toward the fleet and small boats everywhere in the water, overloaded, low on fuel, filled with people seeking safety and hope. We pulled them aboard, families clutching children, pilots who had made their final flight, men and women who carried nothing but courage. The air was thick with noise and urgency. But amid the chaos, every sailor and Marine knew their job. It was to save lives. It was a moment that defined what service meant to me. It wasn't about politics or orders. It was about compassion, about the courage and doing what was right. Just a few weeks later, after departing the Saigon area, we were called on our way to Western Australia for some R&R. We were called upon again, this time to the rescue of the SS Mayaguez. When the Cambodian forces and American merchant ship captured the American merchant ship, the Navy and Marine Corps responded. The USS Gridley was part of that operation, providing air support and support of defense of our services members who were trying to bring home the crew safely. It turned out to be the final battle of the Vietnam War. The Mayaguez crew was released unharmed by the Khmer Rouge shortly after the attack on Con Thang began. The names of the Americans killed, including the 3 Marines who were inadvertently left behind in Con Thang after the battle and the subsequent evacuation by the Khmer Rouge, are the last names on the Vietnam Memorial Wall in Washington, D.C. It was a short, intense, and costly, and it reminded us all of freedom is never free. It demands vigilance, courage, and sacrifice. Those events, the evacuation of Saigon and the Mayaguez incident, some 50 years ago, are forever etched in my memory. And I've had many refreshing moments this year celebrating thinking about it this past May. They taught me the meaning of teamwork, leadership, honor under pressure. They taught me something deeper, that service is not only about defending our nation, it's about defending the values we stand for: freedom, compassion, and the dignity of every person. Every generation of American has been called on to serve in its own way. From the soldiers who stood 250 years ago at Lexington and Concord, not far from here, and to the sailors who kept our seas lanes open during World War II. To those who served in Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond, have all carried that same spirit of duty. And right here in Westford, we are proud to carry on that tradition. We see it in the flags placed on our veterans' graves each Memorial Day. We see it in the monuments and the thank you veteran signs that sound proudly on our common. And we see it in the many veterans who continue to serve in our town as police officers, firefighters, teachers, public servants, and volunteers. Service doesn't end when the uniform comes off. It continues in how we live and how we care for each other. Over the years, there's one thing else I've learned, is that every veteran's story matters. Whether you served in combat or in peace, overseas or here at home, your service mattered. So maybe next time that you say thank you for your service to a veteran, go one step further and ask them where they served. What did they do? Maybe they will have a story for you. To my fellow veterans, thank you for your courage, your dedication, and your continued service in this community. To the families of our veterans, thank you too. Your sacrifice made ours possible. Behind every service member is a family that stood strong throughout the worries, absence, and uncertainty you serve too in your own quiet and powerful way. As someone who witnessed the last helicopters lifting off in Saigon and later stood watch during the Mayaguez, I've had seen firsthand how history can have moments of courage and unity. Those experiences remind me of the wars that may end, but the bonds of service between those who serve never does. And they reside in America's strength and always come from the challenge of its people, for those willing to stand up and serve and to sacrifice something greater than them. On this Veterans Day, let us not only remember us as veterans, let us renew our commitment to support those who served. Renew our efforts and to live a life that is in honor of those veterans who are no longer here with us. May we always honor the fallen, care for the living, and live each day in a way that honors them. Thank you, Westford, for continuing to remember your veterans, not just today, but every day. May God bless our veterans. May God bless those still serving. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
In closing, I would like everybody to stand as we close out today's service. The Westford Academy Band trumpeters will perform taps, to be followed by the Westford and District bagpipers. This concludes our ceremony today. I'd like to thank again any veterans who attended today for their service. All public safety personnel can return to their duties. Thank you very much for coming.